Number 1 asks us to list the sample space for each of these chance experiments. The sample space is all of the possible outcomes. For A, it says rolling a 4-sided die with the numbers 1 through 4 on the faces. You can roll a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 4. In B, selecting a letter from the word mathematics. You can select an M, A, T, H, E, but the M shows up again, but we've already listed it, so we don't list it a second time. A is also already there, T, I is a new one, C, and S. Selecting a marble from a bag containing 50 black marbles and 45 orange marbles. You can either pull out a black marble, or you can pull out an orange marble. D says selecting a number from the even numbers 2 through 14, including 2 and 14. Well, there's 2 as a possible number, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 and 14. E says spinning the spinner below. You can land on a 1, 2, 3, or 4. Number 2 is asking us to decide if the two outcomes are equally likely to occur, and then we have to give a reason or explain our answer. Usually that's the part that people forget. A says rolling a 1 or a 2 on a 6-sided number cube. Well, rolling a 1 happens 1 out of the 6 possible outcomes, and rolling a 2 also happens 1 time out of the 6 possible outcomes. Since those fractions are equal, the probabilities are equal. So you can explain it as there are 1 of each of these numbers on the 6-sided cube. You can also show that the probability is 1/6 for both, and those have to be equal. In B, it says selecting a letter A or K from the word take. There's 1 A and 1 K. There's an equal amount of the two things that we're looking for. So these are equal because there is 1 of each. C says selecting a black or an orange marble from a bag of 50 black and 45 orange. There are 5 more black marbles, so it is not equal. If there was the same amount of both, then we could say they are equal. D, selecting a 4 or an 8 from the even numbers 2 through 14. I misread the first one. So in number 1, part D, it was talking about even numbers from 2 through 14. So we don't want any of the odd ones. I thought it was asking about drawing an even number out of those possibilities. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14 are your sample space. Which would mean that you can select a 4 1 time, or there's 1 4 in there, and 1 8 in there, out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 possible outcomes. So we could say, well, both of those have a 1 out of 7 probability. E says landing on a 1 or a 3. The 1 is a lot bigger, or it takes up more space than the 3. So it would be more likely that we land on the 1 than the 3. So they are not equal. Number 3, it says color the squares below so that it would be equally likely to choose a blue or a yellow square. You need the same amount of yellows as you do blues. So you can either color 5 of them blue and 5 of them yellow, or you could color 4 of them yellow and 4 of them blue and leave the other ones blank. But you need to make sure that there's the same amount of both. In part 4, or question 4, that one was 3, now we're on 4. Number 4, it says color the squares below so that it's more likely to choose blue than yellow. So you need more blue squares than yellow squares. You could color 2 blue and 1 yellow. You could color 1 yellow and the rest of them blue, but some amount of the blues needs to be more than the yellows. As long as the blue is more than the yellows, you've answered 4 correctly. 5 is talking about listing the sample space of playing a game on a spinner. It says the game requires you to spin the spinner twice. So you're going to spin it once and record your work, and then spin it a second time and record the color that it lands on. The sample space is every single set of possibilities. So you could land on yellow in the first spin and yellow in the second. You could land on yellow first and then land on red the next time. Yellow and then blue, or yellow and then green. But maybe you didn't land on yellow the first time. Maybe you landed on red the first time, and then yellow the second. Red twice. Red and then blue, or red and then green. Maybe you landed on blue first. So I'm trying to be very systematic in my way of doing things. So I started with yellow, red, blue, green as my second spin, and I've just repeated that in the next row. Maybe you landed on green first. So there's actually 16 possible outcomes. So your sample space includes all 16 of these. In number 6, it says list the sample space for flipping a coin twice. You could land on heads and heads again. You could land on heads and then tails. You could land on tails and then heads. Or you can land on tails and then tails a second time. So there's 4 pieces to the sample space on the heads and tails when you flip a coin twice.